Since there's not a lot of information about the 6.6 liter engine, I figured I'll share some of the similarities and differences between the 6.6 liter iron block 401 cubic inch motor versus the rest of the Gen 5 family. And I'm comparing it to the LT4 and LT5 crank and rods, which the crank the LT4 and LT5 is also found in the rest of the Gen 5 LT based motors. The difference between these two cranks is simple. This one here is out of the 6.6 liter. And as you notice that there's a center weight here, or whatever you want to call it, but this is here to keep down vibration in the engine. The stroke is different. The stroke is larger on the 6.6 liter. And I believe it's a 3.8 inch stroke versus a 3.6 inch stroke on a LT1 or LT5, LT4, L83, 86. You get it. Yes, it is 58.2 steel as well. Now, these are the rods and pistons. This is the rod of the 6.6 liter. And as you can see, it's a powder metal forged I-beam rod. Looks kind of wimpy, right? And that's the top of the piston. Now, the wrist pin in the 6.6 liter is smaller than the wrist pin in the rest of the Gen 5 family. The piston is also shorter than the rest of the Gen 5 family. This is out of an LT4, LT5 engine, which is a forged rod and piston. To me, it appears to be kind of I call it a hybrid rod because it looks like an I-beam and H-beam in one. It's a pretty heavy unit. As you can see, that's the wrist pin here. This piston is taller than the 6.6 liter. Now, if this camera on I'm using my phone, so here we go. We're going to compare the height of the pistons versus one another. The 6.6 compared to the LT4, LT5 piston. See the difference in height? And this is because of the stroke is taller on the 6.6 liter versus the LT4 and LT5. The LT4 and LT5, L83, L86, blah, blah, blah. This is that crank out of one of those motors. And as you notice, it doesn't have the center weights in the middle. Center weights, whatever you want to call it, go ahead. You guys are going to be like, man, it's not center weights. You get the point. You understand. You all are intelligent people. But everything is pretty much the same between the cranks as far as length and the snouts. It's just that this one, out of the 6.6, has a taller stroke and it has added material to keep down vibration. In my opinion, the 6.6 makes 464 foot-pounds of torque at 5,200 RPMs. Who's to say that how much power, but we can only imagine how much more power it makes beyond that point. Now, one of the things that I did notice about the 6.6 liter is there's room to make it better. Now, my next move is to take this piston and have one made, a forged piston, this height with this wrist pin size. And a lot of you are thinking, why would you do that? Because I want to use this rod with a forged piston, the height of the 6.6 piston, for one of the other engines, one of the other 6.6s. Do ring gap and see how much power it makes. Yes, the rods are pretty much the same height. Actually, they are the same height. It's just that the piston is smaller on the 6.6, so it doesn't come up out of the cylinder bore. So I figured I'd give you all some of that information of what I'm looking at between the two, because I didn't see anybody out there doing it yet, so I figured why not? You all take it easy and stay tuned for more information. Next, I'll be talking about the differences between the flex plate and the cylinder heads.